Welcome in, everyone. How are we doing today? Just a quick little check-in. Hey, what's up, Jade? How are you this evening? Hope everything's going well. I know I'm doing pretty well. No complaints, really. I answered that before the question came through. That's funny. No, I'm doing good. This morning was a kicker. I woke up to fog, like thick fog. I felt like I was back in Washington, which is unusual. And if not, there was not much we can do. Yeah, exactly. Either way, I mean, no complaints today. Yes, Children of the Corn fog. It felt too warm for fog. See, I'm used to Washington, and like walking out there this morning, it felt too warm for the kind of fog. Like it wasn't cold on the skin, it was just there, and it was weird. Ergo Decipiatur. There goes the deceiver. I'm not positive what that means, EXO. And welcome in, EXO. I'm actually amazed somebody paid attention to the title, which is actually kind of what I want to talk about tonight, which is why I put it there, obviously. I just decided to put it like that. So let it be deceived. Okay, ergo, let it be deceived. Yeah, that makes sense. So, for Jade, and for those of you who don't understand or read Latin, Mundus, Vult, Decipi, or Decipi, I'm not positive on, or Decepii. No, it'd have to have two I's at the end for Decipi. So just Decipi means the world wants to be deceived. And like you know, like XO put in, so let it be deceived. And it's kind of expanding on the idea of like advertising. Why does advertising work? Well, because it lies about the product. You know, and why did we evolve that method? Because people won't listen if you tell them the truth. I mean, most people turn off if you tell them the truth. I mean, think about it. Why do YouTubers use clickbait titles and thumbnails? Because they work. Which I find baffling because I don't look at thumbnails. It's probably why my thumbnails are absolute garbage, because I don't know how to make an enticing thumbnail because I don't use them. Like even when I'm looking at videos, I look at the title, what it's supposed to tell me, and who created it. That's it. Like, I don't know how else to describe that. And because we want to be deceived, I think it's more important than ever, especially now, to pay attention, to use multiple sources, even sources you wouldn't necessarily agree with. Like if you're a left person, watch some stuff from the right, and vice versa. If you're a right person, watch stuff from the left. Because somewhere in the middle is the truth. Because they're gonna try and deceive you. I mean, think about it. Even in your workplace, I think even to this day, people aren't supposed to be talking about their salary. Why? I mean, how many jobs actually put a real salary in their job listing? Oh, you'll get somewhere between this and this. Expect the lowest. I mean, because when has anybody ever gotten a higher one? I mean, I remember I was desperate for a job. Well, not that desperate, or else I probably would have taken the job. But I was trying to switch jobs, and I was trying to get closer to home. And Walmart was hiring for a maintenance person, which I was perfectly capable of doing. I didn't even want that much over minimum, but I knew how much I needed for the job to be worth me quitting my other job. They brought me in for 3 interviews, and the only sticking point was the salary. And I told them, well, that's what I need to do the job. If you can't do this, quit wasting my time and yours. I'm not coming down. That wasn't a negotiation tactic. That was me telling you what I needed. If you can't provide that, I walk. Pure and simple. Well, we might be able to give you a raise. If you can give me the raise, do it now. I guarantee you I'm worth it. And if I'm not, fire my butt. How hard is that? Like, really, how hard is it to be truthful? We're always so afraid to tell the truth. We're afraid to tell people, well, pretty much anything. Let's be honest. I mean, not like our friends, but like, me and my buddies used to have this joke. You know, what do you tell a girl on a first date? A fallacy. Spell it PH. Because it's the lies you tell to get into her pants. I was much younger then. It was a stupid joke. I get it. But isn't that what it means by giving a good first impression? Like, isn't that what you're doing? You put your best foot forward. You know, all of this stuff that we use to talk. But in truth, what are we really doing? We're lying to them. Because we don't think we would have got the job or got the date or whatnot. Like, we can't be truthful with people. I mean, I think that's one of the reasons why the wife and I have survived for so long, is because we started from a standpoint of neither one of us was really looking for someone. We weren't looking to date someone. Like, I had decided that, you know, women were too much trouble. Or dating was too much trouble, I should say, not necessarily women. I'm not saying that women were too much trouble. They were too much trouble for me. I'm not a usual person. I'm not saying women were bad. That's not what I mean at all. But that was how in my head, yes. Sorry, you know what I mean, though. That for me, it was just too much trouble to try and date anything or anyone. Put it that way. So I was going to work on my career, you know, try and get a good job, save up money, do what I wanted to do with life. And if somebody came into my life, more is the better, you know? But I wasn't going to actively look. And pretty much within the same week, I met my wife. You know, I mean, it's the old joke. You know, man plans and the plans of mice and men. I can't remember the full quote at the moment, obviously. But the point is that it's so hard to explain to people that everything is a lie because we want it to be. It's not because well-laid plans of mice and men. There go I, but for the grapes of wrath or something. I know it's not the quote. That's two of the same authors' books, Steinbeck. It was just a layer joke. I apologize. The idea that we want to be deceived is because we want to be happy. So we deceive ourselves into being happy or being secure. And in the end, what we end up doing is believing the lie. We run into all of this stuff that, I mean, politicians in general. One of the oldest jokes is, well, politicians lie. Then why do we elect them? You know, just like the lie of, oh, you know, don't vote third party. Yes, they often go awry. Something's awry, sir. I know nobody gets that reference, but it's from a book series called Gaunt's Ghosts. I'm not a huge Warhammer 40K guy. But that book series, Gaunt's Ghosts, while it's large, definitely worth reading. I was also never much of a war novel guy, but the characters in that novel series are very good. But again, going back, the world wants to be deceived. What's the one recession-proof industry in the economy? No matter how bad the world is, and sometimes, depending on what's going on, depending on how bad the world is going, it often can grow the worse things get. And that's entertainment. We don't want to see the truth. We don't want to see the reality of our situation because we feel powerless. There's nothing we can do. Like I was saying, it's like, oh, you can't vote third party, even though that third party person is who you prefer to vote for, no matter how right or wrong you might be, because they have a plan. They have, even if it's for 4 years. Like, I think Ross Perot would have been great to have in for 4 years. I mean, I was in high school when Ross Perot was going in, which I think only Jade knows who Ross Perot is. EXO might, but, in his bid for the presidency, I would have loved, he was going to take a large portion of the vote, even if he didn't win. It would have been great for third party because it would have set up future third parties. Yet he bowed out and ruined that whole idea. He ruined that concept. We're told that third parties can't survive. BS. Third parties can't survive because we don't vote for them. Even if you can pull away enough votes from candidates that you don't like. Like, if there was a third party in this last election, I guarantee you the third party would have pulled enough votes away from Trump. Even if it would have pulled votes away from Kamala, too. It would have pulled enough votes away from Trump, he wouldn't have been president. That's the lie that you're given when you say don't vote for a third party. That's what happens when you don't. You lose your ability to speak for what you want. I mean, think about how big YouTube is and how much people try to use it to educate themselves, not necessarily entertain themselves. Now, while entertainment is a thing, it's probably the big thing on YouTube, but YouTube wouldn't be where it is if it wasn't for the education content. What's known as the evergreen. How do I change my tire? Let me pull up the YouTube. How do I do this? Let me pull up the YouTube. We educate ourselves through YouTube. I know more people who went through college using YouTube to pass their tests. Not their teachers. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because you could find an educator that speaks to you. It's not necessarily that that educator would speak to everyone, but that educator on YouTube speaks to you. It's translated well for you. It's set to your brain waves. Because you get to just pick out of maybe 3 professors that are teaching the class that you're looking at any given year. Versus on YouTube, how many different people upload the same basic instructional video? I don't know how many different math teachers, but it was one specific one that could get through to me. I still wasn't very good, but at least it got through to me. So that's what I'm saying is that we live in the information age. There's a reason why they don't call it the knowledge age. Because we're not using the information for knowledge. Information is just that. It's the ingredients for bread. That's what information is. I have the wheat. I have the eggs. I have the sugar. I have the salt. I have the yeast. I have the milk. Knowledge is knowing how to put those things together in what ratio and how to cook it to make the bread. We don't live in the knowledge age, even though we have the opportunity to have all the knowledge right here. Yet we don't do it. I don't do it. Not often. I mean, I do to a certain degree, but not as often as I probably should. Put it that way. It's like, okay, here's another thing. Actually apply knowledge, like go to YouTube to learn something. We live in the information, and welcome in, Infinite. We live in the information age, not the knowledge age. Even though we have the world's information at our fingertips, all of the knowledge, human history, right there, and we don't use it. We let others do it for us. I mean, the very fact that AI exploded as hard and as fast as it did speaks to the world wants to be deceived. You know, everybody's afraid the world's gonna end because of AI. Yet it keeps going. Well, that's because AI is dumb. One, they use the wrong name. It's not artificial intelligence. It's machine learning. There is a huge difference between machine learning and artificial intelligence. What we have right now will never come up with an original thought. It doesn't know how. It doesn't get that. So that's why I say when you use what we call AI now, you get what you put into it. So if you find it's not working for you, it's not doing the right thing, well, that's because you don't know how to use it yet. You know, I mean, sure, it's not going to make good art. But if you want to know how to do something step by step, I'll tell you what, I couldn't have installed Linux on my computer without it. I learned how to do that, and now I have a better understanding of how to use Linux. And obviously, I got everything to work. That's just the long and short of it. So we deceive ourselves. We allow ourselves to be deceived. We know how detrimental it is to use short form media. TikTok, Reels, Shorts. We know how damaging that is. But it's not going to happen to me. It's what you all think. Or what the majority of people out there think. Until you're sitting there at 3 a.m. realize, you know, you only meant to watch 15 minutes. You know, I mean, shoot. You want to talk about being deceived? What was it? Florida just went through and had a bunch of their food tested just, you know, independently off the shelf. And I think if I remember correctly, keep in mind, this is just off of something I watched. Snickers contains your yearly dose of arsenic. One Snickers. Not even king size. Yes, the Three Musketeers was even worse. That one was even worse. It was like 10 years worth or something like that. Like, how are we not dead? Yeah, that's off of one. You know, I mean, and it wasn't just Snickers. I mean, there was a whole bunch of foods. Like, pick a bread loaf off the friggin' counter or off the shelf, and it's got a massive amounts. There's someone doing a study of that. Yeah, it has massive amounts of glucosamine. You know, the weed killer, Roundup. That's still in it. We're eating that. Do I know what that's going to do to my system? No. Does the FDA? No. But you get what I mean. We have these foods that are generally considered safe because nothing's happened. Okay, well, even if it was for kids. Do you know how many Snickers I ate as a kid? It's amazing I'm not dead or more screwed up than I am. I don't eat that many. I think I haven't had a Snickers in what? 5 years? 6 years? I don't know. When I was a kid, you're damn skippy. I mean, especially around Halloween. When all the candy went on sale, I was eating it all over the place. You know, I mean, and it's not like my parents knew any better. They didn't have the internet to raise me. Not when it comes to arsenic, Infinite. You cannot build a resistance to arsenic poisoning. Arsenic actually gets built up in your system. It's one of the metals, like a heavy metal poisoning. You can't build a resistance to heavy metal poisoning. It builds into the system and eventually kills you. You sent yourself to TikTok and was going to play. See what I mean? TikTok. How many times does your brother sit there and just scroll? And I know he's off of a hard day's work, plus dealing with his farm. But how often does he sit there just swiping? We're destroying our brain cells. Right. That's what I'm saying. Your brother does that. Dude's cool. I like your brother, but seriously. You know, I mean, we have to distance ourselves from that stuff. I don't care how educational the TikTok you're using is. You want to know about nutrition? Look up the YouTube channel, no lab coat required. You want real information on nutrition? He's one of the best. I mean, or maybe it's just my confirmation bias. I happen to believe that we're in the state we're in because of the low-fat, no-fat diet. We're supposed to solve the obesity crisis, even though every year it kept growing. Low-fat, no-fat foods were found to be causing more inflammation, making people fatter because they conflated the idea of fat and inflammation in the human body. Fatty foods, and I'm not talking like deep fried foods, because that's a whole nother story on why that got so out of control, which I will explain. But cutting butter out of your system, but using plastic. Oh, I'm sorry, margarine. That's supposed to be better for you. How? How? How did we get told that and believe it? Because margarine has less fat. They replaced the fat with a long-chain hydrocarbon. Wait, what's fat? Oh yeah, it's a long-chain hydrocarbon. Hydrocarbon. I'm getting a little slurry here. Yeah, real butter is better for you. Like, legitimately, because your body doesn't store it, because it's a natural fat. It actually also helps wash away bad stuff out of your system. Yeah, happy Earth Day, y'all. I forgot about that, but hey, that actually kind of makes sense, you know? I mean, you want to talk about, oh, we're going to get rid of single-use plastics. So we're going to give you a more rigid plastic. It's thicker, so you can use it multiple times, which has more layers to spall off microplastics into your food. It's already been 10 years? Damn. But true legends never die, just like Ozzy Osbourne. I know we're coming up on the year anniversary of his death. Oh, speaking of that, I was going to say, I know Prince is old, but you made me feel real old. That was not what I was expecting. I mean, Prince is right up there with Michael Jackson. In fact, there is good arguments to be had on which one was more influential on music. The only reason why we know, Don't apologize. That was a good one. You got me. Mark it on your calendar. You got me. That's a good thing. I need that every once in a while, or else my head gets too big. See, I mean, I already outgrew my hair. I can't let it get any bigger. Yes, I can make jokes about me. It's fine. I'm okay with it. Trust me, you cannot be any more cruel than the kids I grew up with. Sideburns. Oh, can't wait till this grows back. I miss having something to tug on. But I got to trim it off every couple of years or so. Just to let the skin breathe underneath. But we let ourselves be inundated. Right? With all of this information without actually checking on it. Don't apologize. We let ourselves just believe information because we're told that everything has to happen now. You want to know something great? My mom started college in her late 40s, early 50s. She graduated her master's and actually worked in her field for almost a decade before she retired. Think about that. So it's never too late. Nor do you have to know what you want to be when you grow up when you're 20. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. I haven't tried everything yet, so I don't know which one I like better. Still wish I could have been an astronaut or a fighter jet pilot, but yeah, they don't make it in my size. I know, I checked. Hell, even in the Navy, I wasn't willing to. When I was a merchant marine, I could get away with it. Navy, their bunks are only 6 feet long. So I would have been scrunched by almost half a foot on their bunks. Yeah, would not have made it in the Navy. I probably could have still made it, gone, but I probably wouldn't have made it. How the world wants to be deceived, Andy. Mundus, Vult, Decipi. Oh, the fact that, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Oh, naval bunks on Navy ships. I mean, they're damn sure I couldn't get on a submarine crew. I was talking about how it's never too late to start something, to learn something new, to move forward. I mean, what was it? Morgan Freeman tried to be in acting since the 70s, and he didn't make a big role until he was in his 50s? Late 40s, early 50s? There's musicians out there that didn't make it big until they were much older. And yes, welcome in, Andy. Exactly. It's never too late to start learning. It's never too late to look for the next thing you want to learn. Simple as that. I mean, I worry about becoming my dad. That might sound rude or whatnot, but my dad didn't know any better. We may not have got along, but he's not the worst person in the world. I've met a few of those. But he only ever wanted to be one thing, and that was a heavy equipment operator. And by golly, if it had tracks, tires, wheels, he could operate it. I mean, he operated everything from a pallet jack all the way up to a dump truck that you could park other dump trucks in. Oh, nice. And he never wanted to learn anything new. Like, his health said that he couldn't continue the job. And he tried. Get some HZ, you mean Hertz? Okay, I'm just making sure that you were trying to get into the specific Hertz range. Because, I mean, I know that that's how those work. I was just double checking. I know how Hertz is spelled and not the rental car. Even though they spell it the same way. Pink noise. I prefer white noise, to be personally honest. The hum of a fan, rain, your usual white noises. No, that says infinite. Okay. White noise always is my best for putting me to sleep. Yes, Simply, I know, it's okay. I'm giving you a hard time. And yes, hello, Simply. Welcome in. Black noise. I figured you might now. Right? Oh, see, that's what I love about Simply's friggin' streams. They just have great energy. You know, I mean, he generally has that energy, that same kind of chaos energy, even when he's not feeling it. It's nice and chill, but with this spike of chaos every once in a while. It's my perfect. It's literally great. I think more people should watch him. Like, I really do. Because people keep saying it. To me, you're still XO. I'm sorry. Yes, Raven and Ghost say it. Patience has said it. Weren't you in earlier, XO? Oh, you mean Simply streams? Yeah, I realize. No, I get it. Yeah, he just, popped around. So that must be infinite back now. Yeah, just getting used to it, yeah. Well, see, that's why I just started with telling everybody, hi, my name's Mark. You can call me whatever the hell you please. As long as it's not late for dinner, because look at these cheeks. I have never been late for dinner in my life. The only time I've been late to dinner is because I didn't want to eat your food cooking. Right? Or traffic or something. When have I ever been late to dinner, Jade? Really? When have I ever been late? Right. Don't give me that crap. I like food. I like good food better. Here's something. Ooh, you have a mock trial session on Friday. What you trying? Or are we supposed to know? What is that emoji after it? Is that a dancer? What? I need to get my eyes checked, damn. Trying your patience. Got it. Mock dancing. Whenever I dance, it's either Franken's murder case, and you're the prosecutor. Ooh. That's going to be a fun one. It was fashion. They murdered it. I do the Numa. Hello? Hadu? I can't remember it all. I used to listen to that a lot, though. Oh, fashion's been murdered from the get-go. We kind of talked about that the other night, didn't we? How, I mean, the one thing is that anything you see on a catwalk was never meant to be worn in the streets. Number two, why are sock heels? Got it. That's a good one. Took me a minute, though. But, I mean, don't get me started on high heels, because I don't care what people say. They don't do what people... Sock heels do exist, though? What? How? No, I don't want to know how. Just like I don't want to know how anybody thought toe socks were a good idea. Like, what's warmer? Right, okay. Have you ever actually been in real cold, though, Andy? Gloves suck. If you get into really deep cold, you wear mittens. Why? Because your fingers together keep you warmer than separated. So why would I separate my toes? Why would I separate my toes? Just like... You didn't know about toe socks? Oh my God. See, I've had this argument with my wife, I don't know how many times, but my feet get so cold, so I want to, wrap them all up, and it's like, right. Because when we first met, she used toe socks. And it bothered me. Because she always talks about how cold she is. Yeah, well, one, they're hard to put on. Two, they actually don't keep you warmer. They have no health benefits. Just like the toe shoes have no health benefits. They tell you all this stuff. Again, we go back to the world wants to be deceived. Take a moment and think about it. Yes, women being cold, as a general rule, it is a general thing. Women are cold. Except for it's counterintuitive. Right? It's counterintuitive. I think women run warmer than men. And if I remember right, seeing a general temperature, women actually run warmer. They're more sensitive to the cold because they need to run warmer because they have a incubator inside them. Well, women actually have more skin blood flow, if I remember things correctly. Could be completely wrong. So I think, my theory, women run warmer so they're more sensitive to the cold. So 1 or 2 degrees difference, they're colder. Men don't have that same issue. Well, yeah, I mean, there's individuals. I'm saying, as a general rule, I am generalizing here. I know that's kind of a bad thing, supposedly, but I think it fits the subject of what I'm trying to talk about. Again, it's just a theory of mine that women tend to be more sensitive to the cold. Yep. I also don't think it's as ubiquitous as women being cold all the time. But I think it's enough that there's probably a scientific reason behind it. They would be. Because your body cares more about keeping your core warmer. Because again, you have an incubator inside you. You know, I mean, whether you're using it for that or not. But if you separate the toes, they can't work together to be warm. What do they tell you to do if it's a winter hazard and somebody's freezing? You literally strip down. Yes, if everybody's freezing, separate them because that'll keep them fresh longer for the cannibals. Doesn't matter if you're freezing to death. I know they do. Most likely, yes. Actually, when women get hot flashes towards that time, it's probably more because the thermostat is becoming unregulated because it's trying to switch off. The incubator. No, it's supposed to sound horrible. I'm just saying that, you know, deception comes from not understanding, not knowledgeable. So if you separate your toes, they're going to get colder more individually because now your body has to put blood into each one of them. And now it's going to act like a radiator. What's wrong with socks and sandals? I kid. I'm just from the Pacific Northwest, where I've seen that way too often, which I don't understand. I don't understand because socks and sandals and a wet environment. Like literally, this is my worst nightmare. Wet socks while wearing shoes. In this case, sandals. Yes, I think socks and sandals are like fire and ice too. You put them together and I get steamed. Sorry. Right? Right. And it's the Pacific Northwest. The whole place is inundated with mold and wetness. Athlete's foot is the least of your problems. I'm shaking my friggin' head, yes. Like, again, you know, think about what you're doing. It's like, what else can I think of to like really just point out the things that we do that we don't think about? Sorry for flashing you with the bald head. I apologize. You know, I've already talked about high heels. They don't really do anything but screw you up, mash your feet, screw up your back, and actually run you more risk with ankle injuries and knee injuries. And I guarantee you, no guy's looking at your shoes. Guarantee you. They shorten your calf muscles too. Well, yeah, because it causes them to bunch up and then you can't actually stretch them out. It causes more issues. And I guarantee you that no guy is looking at your legs and your feet unless he has that particular kink. Which, sure, if you want to wear high heels at home in the privacy of your own home, that's your thing. But here's the thing. What if you have to run from a mugger? Sure, stiletto heels can be used as a weapon, but you ain't running. Or if you are, you're asking for a broken ankle, minimum. Probably going to shred your Achilles tendon. No? Well, I agree. That hurts me on a spiritual level, Jade. Yes, throw hands. Be ready to. And I'm not talking about, I don't care. That hurts me on a spiritual level, Jade. I have broken both my ankles at separate times. No. Yes, exactly. Rated E for everyone. But do you know how to use your fists? Do you know how to punch properly without breaking your knuckles? It's counterintuitive. Everybody forms a fist like this, right? You got to form it like this. You want to impact with these two knuckles first. You ever wonder why my first two knuckles are pretty big? You need to get those two bones in line with the wrist. However much tilt you need. You ever watch footage of Bruce Lee? When he comes in for a hit, he's flexing forward because he's lining up his two knuckles. So while his hands might be like this, he's always right before he's flexing and pushing out. You're distributing the force. Use the force. Just like kicks look great. People use kicks in movies. They use kicks in martial arts. I will tell you, a kick is one of the useless things you can do. Unless you're kicking them in the nuts. Just saying. Using anything, a kick higher than that, you're destroying your center of balance and it's really easy to push you over. Now you're flat on the ground and in the most vulnerable position you can think of. You only use kicks in close quarters and make sure that it's a knee, not a full kick, because that gives your foot less time to go back to the ground and get your true center. Just saying. Take it from somebody that's rather experienced in these things. But unless you're fully trained, well, if you have a knife, use it. Wait, are you talking about the Glasgow Smile or the Glasgow Kiss? Because I'm not familiar with the Glasgow Kiss. Well, I hope to God that you're not fighting for fun. Oh, the headbutt? Only if you're well trained in it. I'll tell you that. Well, in self-defense, you always should be going for vital spots. And you missed one very important one, Andy. Jade got it. The very important throat punch. And eye poke? No. It's too hard to do with a good accuracy. Just aim for the nose. If you can hit the guy on the tip of the nose, guy, girl, whoever. If you hit somebody, well, you never know when you might have to. And don't go for the back of the knee, go for the side of the knee. Because if you can destroy their ACL, they ain't running after you. They just ain't. They ain't running at all. They'll be lucky if they can stand right away. I used to have a punch that I used to call Thor's hammer. Yeah, it literally, I don't care how big and tough you are, it causes the eyes to water if you hit them on the nose. You can't see very well. It's like a ninja smoke bomb. Boom, smoke bomb. Because if you're fighting, it's life or death. Pure and simple. Well, that sucks. And it really, I mean, preferably get yourself a concealed carry permit and pack. And I'm really sorry that happened to you, Andy. I've had a couple of friends go that way.
It wants your soup. It wants your soup.
Well, neither one was, one of mine was Florida. One was Washington. No, they both were Washington. I didn't live in a great area. That's not even counting the people that I know that got murdered or just died under mysterious circumstances, which I know was murdered. So, speaking of the world wants to be deceived, I think I have enough time to tell this one. So there was this case just shortly before I left Washington. This lady's ex-boyfriend was, here's the official story, was stabbed before he reached her front porch. And he died on the porch. That's the official story, that somebody had accosted him and he made it to where he was going. Because he was coming over to her place because they were supposed to, he was supposed to pick up stuff. That you know, they were separating, you know, it was a breakup. It was her ex. That's the official story. Now, in the 911 call, she refused to give any kind of resuscitation, CPR, anything like that. Refused to open the door for him, supposedly. Even though in the 911 call, you could hear him slowly dying, calling for help. His blood was found in the kitchen, in the entryway, and in the living room. And on her, because when the cops got there, her hands were bloody. She had cuts on her hands. So she changed her story that she was attacked too, even though she never mentioned it on the 911 call. And she got away scot-free. They're still searching for who stabbed him with a kitchen knife that matched her kitchen knife. But it was a normal one you could just buy off of Amazon or from Walmart or something like that. So it wasn't enough evidence. Even though his blood was found in the kitchen where she would have washed a knife, his blood was found in a living room where she would have had to walk through. She's the one that called him over to come pick up his stuff. Which, by the way, the cops did mention that there was... Yeah. I'm just saying, you know, speaking of the world wants to be deceived, nobody wanted to believe that this 4'11" girl stabbed a 6'2" guy and got away with it. Yes, exactly. Yes, I saw David finally got arrested. Like, what I want to know is, why did nobody ask why his truck, his cyber truck of all things, was abandoned? Like, why did he never ask where his truck was? Because he was a star. The parents knew they were dating, remember? That was part of the story. She'd been abducted for 3 friggin' years. But the parents knew she was dating somebody named David. The parents were chasing fame more than the kid was. Like, why did nobody ask how she got all those tattoos without her parents' knowledge? Because she had, what, 3? The one on her finger, the one over her heart, and then the symbol thing, if I remember right from the story. Like, why didn't the parents press charges? Because the parents were chasing fame. They were hoping that their child would have money enough to help them, maybe, but at worst, help themselves. They were chasing money. It's the same reason why people have children's channels or family channels on YouTube. You're literally monetizing your children. You know, I think You know, I'm sorry. I think anybody under the age of 18 should not have any way to monetize a channel on YouTube. Right. But how many times have we seen children get exploited, Andy? Shirley Temple, Mickey Rooney, what was his name? Buddy, the original Uncle Fester. He was a child star back in vaudeville times. He was one of the biggest stars, and his parents, by the time he was 18, had spent all of his money. Buddy Epson? Is that the right name? But anyway, same thing happened with Britney Spears. Same thing happened with Michael Jackson. You think Michael Jackson had any of his money from before he turned 18? Justin Bieber. I don't know. My kids watched iCarly, but I'll take your word for it. But the fact is that parents have been exploiting their children. Like, there should not be kids playing kids on movies. I mean, why do you think the original theater troupes in Shakespearean times were made of men? Because you couldn't pay women. It had nothing to do with whether or not women could play the roles. At the time, women couldn't really be paid for that work. So, even the women were men. Because they didn't want the women to be exploited. Because they didn't have good laws. I mean, there's good evidence that Anne Hathaway may have actually been William Shakespeare. I'm just saying that there's a lot that we allow happen, and we don't. Again, the world wants to be deceived. We know this shit is going on. I mean, look at Justin Bieber, like Andy said. You look at Justin Bieber and how exploited he is. I mean, his mom and dad sent him to Usher, who sent him to P. Diddy before he was even 18. Why the hell are you letting your child out of your sight? With movie stars and rock stars, given what you know of movie stars and rock stars. You deceived yourself because you were chasing the money that you never thought you could have. One, there was no reason for Justin Bieber to even sign up with a label. Justin Bieber would be just as big today if he had stayed on YouTube and not bought a label or got bought by a label. But the ad is going to run, so can you save that one, Andy? I do want to hear about it. Yes, exactly. It's break time. It's like, sorry, but the ad's going to run, and I don't want to interrupt it in the middle of it, so I'd rather take this moment to break, and then we'll be right back. We'll be back after these messages. So, Andy, what you got? Oh, there we go. Band called Blood on the Dance Floor. I'm familiar with the name. And, oh, yeah, that's right. I'm low. Turn up the volume. Was I low before? Is that better? How about now? We better? I also was kind of talking though. Sorry. Oh, sorry. Okay. Can you hear me now? Good. Yeah, I remember hearing about Blood on the Dance Floor and all of that. Yeah, it's still going on. But I think that's kind of the point I'm trying to make is that we know this stuff's going on. Why do we keep letting it happen? Why do we keep doing it? Like, why do we let people do this all the time? Because we don't want to look at how dirty it is. Yeah, because of their fame? Yeah. About men drugging their wives? What? Drugging their wives. Why? You're already married. What are you drugging them for? Oh, God. Why? Those all should be in prison. Look, it's ridiculous. I can't even imagine. I mean, that is like one of the most ultimate betrayals of trust. You sleep next to this person. Normally. That just makes me angry. And you wouldn't like me when I'm angry. Well, I don't know about being filmed. I don't think most women are, well, okay, filming your escapades is not something new. What bothers me is disseminating it for others to watch. I mean, cuckoo? We have a word for it, but I know it'll get censored if I use it. Just say it involves the third chair in a motel room that has a slang name now. Like, what's the point in that? Well, I'm guessing that they want to drug her because they want to film it. Right, see, we keep platforming people that get away with this. I mean, Jeff Stain did it too. You know, on an industrial scale, and yet we haven't had really any court cases. I mean, they're really not even investigating Zorro Ranch. Right? I mean, it's been opened up to be investigating, but nobody's really investigating. Although, from a video I was watching earlier, people own it and they're digging something out around it because there's new piles of dirt everywhere around. Yes, it was a Conspiracy Files. I haven't finished that episode yet, though. Right? Honestly, it's the first video I've watched of theirs. It just came up on my feed. Another guy that covers stuff pretty closely, which I've been wondering why people haven't covered Zorro Ranch at all. Like, to me, that's the worst place. Like, that's where all the private stuff was happening. This was the stuff that the majority of the people that went out to his little island didn't even know about. Like, people going to Zorro Ranch was much more exclusive than his private island. Okay. I kind of got burned out on, paranormal ghost hunting, but I do enjoy it when it's done well, so I'll have to check out theirs because so far I've liked what they've done. They're pretty cool. Well, I used to, but when all of the big names, even all the way back to Ed and Lorraine, the Warrens, on up have been found to be complete shysters, it's like, it takes the fun out of it for me. I used to watch Ghost Adventures. That was fun until it was the same episode over and over again, just a new house. And also, I just don't like Zach Baggins. Okay. Nice. Because there is actually, yes, there is a lot of child rings going back many, many years. And I wish people would realize that there's connections all the way up to now, that there are similar people, like, it keeps moving. And really, definitely going to want to watch that. Yes, I will watch that episode. Because the funny thing is that in the early 2000s, I was a big conspiracy nut. Researching and reading into a whole lot of stuff. And now I'm being proven right. Even though, I never recorded anything, other than the people that I talked to at the time. Well, it's just like, here's a theory for you. Corporate pricing. They're putting out all of these digital price tags, right? Why? Well, so they can increase the prices whenever they want. Yeah, it's the worst kind of I knew it. Well, what happened to corporate competition? Why are corporations now competing to who can get their customers to pay the highest price? 25, 30 years ago, it was the opposite. They were competing for the lowest price. So that means that they're all in a cartel. Market factors, they notice one company do it, so they're going to lower their price too or raise their price. No, they literally, people don't realize how much that ball has to roll before it hits the store and actually has a different price. You have independent contractors that are distributors of Coke and Pepsi, so it's not like they can change their prices like that. Well, until now that we have the digital price tags, which I think should be absolutely illegal, and some states are actually trying to make them illegal. My conspiracy theory is that every corporation basically comes down to the same thing. Yeah, see, that's the bad thing about actually good work on YouTube is that it gets taken down. It's why I won't fully switch over to YouTube, but it's also why I won't fully switch over to Twitch. I want to put it on both because, let's face it, even though these are the two most popular platforms, they're also not great. And I won't go to Kick or Rumble. Not that YouTube or Twitch are any better, but the people that are using Kick and Rumble are not people I want to interact with. You know, the clientele is not who I'm looking for. Yeah, mass consolidation in business. I mean, I remember that there was a big court case that nobody heard about because it never made it to the news. But a Mormon shell company bought both Coke and Pepsi and were forced to diversify their assets. Well, divest themselves of both assets. Think about that for a second. This is in the mid to late 90s or early 2000s that they were forced to, separate the... But for a short time, I think 4 or 5 years, it was how the cola wars could happen, where they were both featured in each other's commercials. And it was because they were run by the same parent fund. It wasn't even technically an LLC or anything like that. It was basically BlackRock, an investment corporation. And I mean, there's good evidence that a lot of these wildfires, floods, all of this stuff is all about mass consolidation of real estate. Because, you're getting into places which don't have or insurance, or people don't have insurance, or basically they're buying up all the properties. They started this with 2008, and that literally is what caused BlackRock to become what they are. And just for you guys to know, I'm also a conspiracy theorist on the 2008 collapse. Real estate market collapse. That was engineered. That was intentional. The reason why I know that is because the banks failed and they paid off the banks when a Democrat was in office. Democrats are famous for putting money at the bottom of the economy so it goes up. Republicans are famous for putting money at the top so it trickles down. Why did a Democrat put money at the top for it to trickle down? Well, yeah, because it was engineered, because the fund, BlackRock, had called in the debts on the banks that they knew that the banks couldn't cover. Like, it was engineered. Like, people don't talk about that one step that happened. I lost my house. I lost my house in the lead up to it. It wasn't in 2008. I think I lost my house in 2006, but it was lead up. I mean, and I damn sure shouldn't have been able to buy a house with $500 down. I should have known something was up when the salesman literally kicked in part of their money to get me the house. They just signed off on their commission to get me the house. Like, I didn't even think about it. I was just happy to get a house. When I was 21, I was happy to get a house. I mean, we weren't even going to try and buy a house that day. All we were trying to figure out is how much money we needed to save up to get a house. Like, they were so thirsty for that mortgage, for that bank payoff, that literally just a few days before we signed the paperwork, I had lost my job. Now, I quickly found another one. That wasn't the problem. I was always able to do that. But they were like, so what? Just don't tell them. Yeah, don't tell the loan company that all of the money that we were supposed to make is now gone, except for, I think my wife at the time had a job that was paying about a quarter of what I was getting paid. But hey, we made it. You know, speaking of wanting to be deceived, I deceived myself into buying a house. But nobody ever asks who called in the debts on those banks, is what I was getting at. Howdy, Ninetails. We're talking about the 2008 housing crash and bank crash. Nobody asks why. Why were those debts called in at that specific time? Because they wanted to be able to foreclose on all of those houses and ruin those specific banks. But, you know, everybody talks about all of the factors. Oh, they were rapacious loans. Oh, they were predatory loans, however you want to put it, which they were. But the funding companies knew that they were rapacious loans, knew that these people couldn't afford to pay it off. So why did they call in the debt? Because they wanted all of those houses. Why did a Democrat, famous for trickle-up economics, convert it to trickle down by paying off the banks? When, if you paid the people the same amount of money that you were paying the banks, like, I mean, this would have been a ridiculous amount of money. If you paid the people that ridiculous amount of money, spread it out evenly, all those banks would have been solvent. But instead, it allowed those banks to consolidate if you paid it at the top. Not only that, those banks were now paid for those bad loans, but the people were still on the hook for the bad loans. Nice. I always love when I finish cleaning my bathroom. But for some reason, it always makes me hungry. Like, I know that sounds weird, but every time I get done cleaning my bathroom, my stomach is hollow. Like, I want food. Like, and I know I'm not putting that much effort in, but why am I hungry after? Like, you'd think with this chemical smell and all of that, it'd make me nauseous, which it does to a certain degree. But within 10, 15 minutes, I'm starving. Like, I don't think they're putting, like, something in the chemicals to make me hungry. I just think it's some quirk with me. But yeah, I mean, it's always baffled me why Obama put money at the top when Democrats are famous for putting money at the bottom. That didn't make any sense to me. Like, at all. It didn't make any sense for not to just give. I mean, you could have paid half as much money to the people and the banks would have still been solvent. Like, it made no sense. I was watching that and I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Like, you live in a capitalist society and you're saying something's too big to fail? That is literally against capitalism. That is not a capitalist society. That is literally socialism. It's what China does in their hybrid capital socialist economy. No, yeah, true. I totally agree with that. And it just, how did not more journalists look at that and go, something's really wrong here? How did it take, social media to sit there and go, well, wait a minute, these $13 trillion could be separated amongst all the people in the United States and everybody'd have about $100,000. I'm roughly, wave the actual numbers away. I don't remember exactly what it was. I remember it was this astronomical amount that was paid. But all these people were still on the hook for the loan, so they still lost their houses. Oh, well, yeah, that happens. That's why I do I do a quick clean of the bathroom once a week. Just a quick spray with the scrubbing bubbles. I use, to get rid of the ring around the bathtub, if you have a bathtub, I use the toilet cleaner. You know, whatever you're using in your toilet, that bleach stuff, just run it around the edge of your bathtub. Let it sit there for a little bit. Use your toilet scrub. Because, I mean, it's really good at cleaning. Or have a toilet scrubber. And you get that ring around the bathtub off. Spray it all down with, the shower. Wet it all down. Then use your foaming bubbles again to make sure you don't leave anything that was left on the toilet scrub. And just do a quick wipe. Ooh, I love deck scrubbers. I love deck scrubbers. If I didn't have a deck scrubber, I probably wouldn't be cleaning the bathroom as well as I do. Well, at least the shower stall. The bathtub stall, whatever you want to call it. Oh, it's great for floors. Deck scrub, you want to get everything off your floors? Just get a cheap deck scrub from, I think you can even find them at Walmart, Kroger, Home Depot. They're technically meant for patios, but you just use a damp mop. You mop the floor, like if you have hardwood floors like I do. Then you just take your deck scrub like it's a push broom and just scrub. Yep. Well, yeah, you're not going to do it perfectly, but, once every couple of weeks you do it, you'll get the spots you missed before. Guess people didn't have a whole lot of thoughts on the bank stuff. Sorry. It's just always baffled me. I am out of water. Be right back. And I'm back. I was thirsty. Yeah, exactly.
Ale, hydrate.
I just did. You watched me. At least it's only 1,000. That's two 16.9 bottles. I'm not doing it again. I don't care if you spend the money. Points. Right. Hey, this December, the wife and I'll pay off a $20,000 loan. I didn't use the middle finger. Did I? I didn't mean to. Wasn't thinking about it that way. But, yeah, that's what I'm saying is. Okay. But I'm just saying that, oh yeah, I mean, we're not there yet. It'll be in December, but I mean, that took us a long time. And once that's out, we can start paying off the other credit cards because we maxed out a whole lot to do what we did to get here. And I mean, why did companies get bailed out? When it was proven before that when I was younger, I know that it was one of the Bushes did like a stimulus check or was it Clinton? I can't remember who did it. But holy crap. That stimulated the economy. Everything went great. Boom, done, and we were doing well. I'll never understand why we didn't choose to do the same thing. Other than the only thing I can figure is a conspiracy theory that it was all engineered so that BlackRock could buy up all the properties. Sorry, Blackstone, which is just a subsidiary of BlackRock. BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, which is really weird when you realize that all of them are reinvested in each other, which means that they all control like 90% of the open housing market because they're all reinvested in each other. So they all basically collectively own all of the properties that are investment properties. And they're doing it again with over in the Palisades fire. They did it again in Maui. They're going to be doing it again somewhere else when another fire, there's a wildfire in Florida, probably going to be doing it again. Because they changed all these rules so you can't take care of the environment so that this doesn't happen. I mean, the Palisades fire was literally tracked down to them stopping raking the forest floor of all the detritus, all the windfall and all of that. They stopped raking that forest floor and they had wildfires like they've never seen before. Really? You don't let people husband the land and you get a worse fire? Or a worse forest fire? A fire. Not just a regular fire, it was a fire. You know, I mean, it's just so... Like, why can somebody like me step back and look at this and go, that's what you're doing. You're doing this intentionally. Like, I know you're doing this intentionally. Like, and it's not even like some big conspiracy, like, you know, space lasers or whatever else they want to talk about. All they have to do is just not do certain things. And then they can blame Mother Nature. That's it. It's not cloud seeding. They just stopped maintaining the dams because they don't want to spend the money. Or you had this big push to get rid of dams. So now you have catastrophic flooding where they didn't have it before because they started getting rid of the dams, which were put up not just for hydroelectric power, but people have been using dams for generations to mitigate flooding. How? Like, again, the world wants to be deceived. They don't want to learn from their history. Like, you can just look in history and see how this happens. Like, oh, it's environmental, you waste, you know, you do all of this, you know, cities were lost. And like, yes, they were. I'm sorry. Because we build cities on rivers. And when you put up a dam, well, you have to have a river feeding that dam. So, conditions being what they are, this is the best place for the dam, you're going to lose the city. You know, and they just keep engineering it to make the little guy pay for it. Companies aren't paying for it. I mean, half the companies that are in the top, you know, S&P 500. I like lagoon living. I mean, I lived in Washington. Was a lagoon 30% out of the year? But I mean, companies, most people don't even realize that most of our biggest companies right now, Amazon, Tesla, Microsoft, do you know each one of those is government subsidized? They call it government contracts, but the government pays them. Gas and oil is subsidized. Our tax dollars pays these companies that are making massive amounts of profit off of the Straits of Hormuz right now, when America doesn't get their oil through the Straits of Hormuz. So why are we paying more? Like, regardless of how you feel about the war in Iran, this makes no sense. Why are the oil prices in America going up when we don't get our oil through the Straits of Hormuz? We get it from the other side of the Saudi Arabian Peninsula. Like, it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense why our gas prices went up. Oh, because the cost of oil, went up. But none of our supply got ruined. Not even slowed down. Because we hardly ever use the Suez Canal. We took it to the West Coast. We take it down through the Panama Canal. I know, because I knew guys that worked on Texaco freighters when I was in shipping. You go, it's pure profit-driven exploitation. That's all it is. That's hands down all it is. And they don't realize that you can't keep squeezing the American people, the world's economy, in a global economic situation like we're in now. You can't keep squeezing it because people will run out of money to give you. We shall lose the money. We won't have it to spend because they keep locking it up. Elon Musk's, world's richest man. He doesn't even have it in his bank. He's locked it into failing companies like Tesla. Tesla hasn't turned a profit. Without government subsidies, that company would have failed. SpaceX, same thing. No matter how much I like what they're doing, the only reason why they exist is government subsidies. Amazon, if they didn't lean heavily on the USPS system until they completely ruined the USPS system. Sup, Green Jeans? Glad you found the neon room. If you didn't have it if they didn't lean so heavily on the USPS system and now completely gutted the USPS system because the USPS system converted to dealing with Amazon more so than your own mail because, not a lot of people get mail. Now that they're converting to their own delivery companies, their USPS is failing. Not UPS, USPS. Our postal service, the American Postal Service, that's apparently supposed to turn a profit even though it's paid through our taxes? I don't understand all of this. I don't get how we can have all of this. Yeah, they left them high and dry. Literally the government helped out Bezos and Bezos just left him high and dry. I probably shouldn't be talking that bad about it because, Bezos owns Twitch, but I don't really care. You look into these things and it's scary. It's creepy that the American people are paying for companies that are bleeding us dry. Monopoly lied to me. When was the last time you had a bank error in your favor? When was the last time your company had an error in your favor? And you didn't have to end up paying for that favor down the road. Hell, I've known people because the company, HR, or not HR, but the payroll department screwed up and gave them a 25-cent raise 3 months early. Those people got fired because they couldn't pay the company back what they owed them for that 3 months of 25-cent an hour raise because they didn't catch it. Because they had a review. The boss told them they were going to get a 25-cent raise. Yay. What the boss didn't tell them is that it was at the beginning of the fiscal quarter, after April 15th. So when that raise hit their hourly wage, they just assumed that it was their raise. And I don't know about you, but they didn't have enough money to fight their company. Because most companies are jobs. They're just over broke. And they keep it that way. They don't want you to make money. They want you to make just enough. And they're going to push you hard. You know, you have to know what you're worth. If you don't like how your company's treating you, if you don't like what's going on, start looking at the want ads, wherever you look at your want ads. Start putting your resume out there. You know, I mean, personally, the first place I always trolled was state jobs. They're hard to get, and it's like winning the lottery to get one. But if you get a good state job, you're set for life. Pure and simple, you're set for life. Even if it doesn't pay great, the benefits are always the best. That's what you're doing it for. The long term. Stay with that state job 5-10 years, which will pass faster than you can believe, especially at the ages you're getting. Guess what? You're set for life. That's your retirement. Then you can go off and do whatever you want. You can go back to college. Most states actually pay for you to go back to college because you want retraining. There's programs to, I mean, the state's going to exploit you. You might as well exploit them back. Pure and simple. Look into programs. Companies have advancement opportunities through, you know, tuition matches, you know, for extended training. And I'm not talking about just going out and getting a degree. You work in a field, go find the technical field. Well, Jade, with where you work, you could probably go to college and get a communications degree on the company dime, or at least matching. I mean, I know that's not what you want or anything like that, but you could. I almost guarantee it that you could find a way to do that because they have to have programs. They have to. I mean, especially since where your company's out of. That who you work for, what state they're out of, I guarantee you they have a degree match. And as long as your degree matches what you do, you can get them to pay for it, or at least a good chunk of it. Advertising. Well, you'd be surprised at how far you could go with a communications degree, Jade. Yeah, pay or forgive. You know, you might have to foot the loans, but on completion of the degree, if you complete the degree and work for the company, say another 2 or 5 years, they have to pay it off. The beauty of this is that it also gives you job security for that 2 to 5 years because the company's not going to fire you and leaving themselves on the hook. What's up, Green Jeans? Glad you're back. They're not going to leave themselves on the hook for that because if they fire you, it's their problem to pay for it. It's generally in the fine print. But if it's not to your fault that they fired you, like, I mean, if you just stop coming in or whatnot, yeah, they're going to have a reason to fire you and you be on the hook for it. But if it's downsizing, layoffs, they're on the hook. So you're going to be one of the last ones that they downsize. So not only is it job security for that 2 to 5 years, it's job security while you're in college, as long as you're able to do your job still. I've had a few friends that went that route. Had one buddy that got his culinary art degree while working for the state in the kitchen, which immediately gave him a pay raise and a pay bump to the maximum level that his job classification would give him. Which, sure, in the first 2 years, he made max pay. But that also guaranteed that he got max raise every year. Was guaranteed that 10% raise every year. He bought 2 houses on that. I mean, he bought one, bought a different one, sold the old house. So, learning how to use your company. I'm not so sure about Texas laws, but I know in West Coast, it's a big deal. The fudge? Yeah, Green Jeans, get yourself a friggin' state job, work in a prison. You're actually pretty good. I mean, my buddy worked at a juvenile detention facility when he did all of that. He had to cram 36 hours a week in the kitchen in 4 days so he could do his 3 days of college. But those 3 days of college at the technical school were only like 4 hours. So he still got it was basically day off, and he was getting a culinary arts degree. Yeah, companies have stuff like that. And some states require companies to have stuff like that. Now, you might have to dig and find it, but they have it. I mean, say you work at a movie theater. Getting a cinematographer's license. Getting a communication degree would probably work. Going to acting lessons, which don't even have to be a full degree, because there's also just acting lessons out there. Makeup lessons, stuff like that. Companies might have policies to let you do that. So you could basically get away with going to college for relatively nothing, but they don't teach you these things. It's just like, why in college don't they teach you how to do money math after elementary school? And I'm not talking like, oh, this is a dime, this is a nickel, this is a penny. I'm talking like, oh, here's how to balance your paycheck or your budget. Here's how to file your taxes. Here's how to tell if the company's screwing you on your wages. Why don't they teach you that? Because it doesn't pay. They would lose money. It's ridiculous how much people get away with, how much companies get away with, because we're kept ignorant, because we want to be deceived. I know I was. There was several different ways I could do it. See, it takes a unique professor to do it. But you were in college and they did that. That should be stuff that they teach in high school. I mean, high school is supposed to prep you for the working world, supposed to prep you for life. So why is high school just an entry point into college? I mean, especially since some of the most successful men and women in today's day and age dropped out of school. Right? Oh. I mean, Elon Musk, college dropout. All of his degrees are honorary. Actually, I think he has a BA in business or something, but I even think that was cheesed. Yeah, it's always after. Always after. It's bullshit. I knew you meant shake your head. Well, my head, but you weren't giving me an order. It's so frustrating. Because there's ways to educate people properly. But a smart public is hard to control. And so we don't, because it's all about control. Organized religion, it's about control. Organized college, schooling, education, control. Work, control. It's all about keeping you in line. And when I say organized religion, I mean, I don't care what you believe. The individual can believe whatever they want. In fact, there's good reason for them to believe. But once you start organizing it, you get Joel Osteen's. You get these mega churches that literally do nothing but siphon money away from people. That's all they do. They're leeches on the world. A good hometown church, that's fine. But these big, giant cathedrals, these big, giant things, yeah. Prof said he likes to teach his students as if he were talking to his boss because he understands we have newer ideas. Yeah, exactly. The only problem is that how often have you had professors like that? Hey, if it was a good concert, I think that's worth it. As long as there's not a 2-drink minimum or a cover charge, I'm good. But most churches come with a cover charge. But again, XO, professor. How often have you had a professor like that, or a teacher that actually gave a shit, was actually allowed by this stuff to give a shit? Cover charge, parking charge. Hell, I lived in a podunk small town. I mean, I don't even think we had 20,000 people. The church my dad went to had a Starbucks. Sorry, not a Starbucks. They ran their own God Bucks. I think that would have been too on the nose. But they ran their own coffee shop right in front. Like, legitimately. And yes, XO, that was absolutely intelligent to do community college for the first 2 years, because that first 2 years is free, basically, as long as you got your Pell Grant. Or you got the work-study program, which I did both, because I had a wife and 2 kids at home. So I needed to make up some of the money. And even worse is that I never really got much out of it. I never got much out of college because the teachers sucked. Yeah. I had a... So here's the sad thing. You guys know I'm a high school dropout. Nice. I dropped out because I found out when I was in Southern California, if I had checked a box, I could have graduated my second year of high school. Because I took college preparatory stuff. I had enough credits in paid out of pocket. Ugh. I had enough credits if I had went to, as a sophomore. I had enough credits as a sophomore if I had graduated, went over to the local community college that would have offered me a, financial aid, Pell Grant, and a dorm. Because I would have been like a mind-blowing student. I would have had to serve 1 quarter, and I would have had a 2-year degree. Because I had enough credits. If I then transferred to their 4-year university that they were partnered with, I would have had another year to go to finish off a 4-year general, I think it was a BS in general sciences. By the time I was 18, I would have graduated with a BS. A bachelor's in science, a bachelor's degree. I would have burned out most of my credits then, but knowing me, I would have just kept piling on work so I could get the next one. I mean, on that route, by the time I was 22, I probably could have had a master's. And before I was 28, I would have had a doctorate. In what? I don't know. But I took the hardest classes I could, and I still pulled straight A's. I dropped out of high school with a 3.98. And I moved 5 times in that 3 years. 5 times. And that's not actually, technically, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I actually moved 7 times. I just went back to the same schools twice. So I wasn't really putting my best effort in either. Like, I remember, I know it sounds like I'm trying to be like, oh, I'm so smart. It's like, no, I just wanted out of my house. Let's be honest. I mean, I didn't have a great growing up. I had a brother that tortured me, a sister that didn't give a crap about me, and parents who didn't give a crap. So I was more interested in being at school. So when I was at school waiting to get picked up, I did my homework. Or if I didn't, I was reading stuff. I was learning stuff. I mean, hell, half the classes I took my sophomore or my junior year, I wasn't even paying attention to what was going on. I was reading a book at the back of the class. The teachers, after the first month, realized, I already knew my stuff. Like, the teachers would literally ask me about what they're talking about, and I'd be like, oh, it's this. I knew what I was doing. The first half of the school year, I was reading all the textbooks. All the textbooks that I had to do, I read, the textbooks, which also generally ended up being, I read more than I needed to know. And so in the end, I would be actually ready for the next year because like the last portion of the quarter of the book, textbook, was supposed to be taught the beginning of the next year or the next semester or whatever. So I was already ahead of the game. And if you just let me go and do what I want to do in my own time, I do a lot. And it's because, here's the thing, it's because I didn't have too many friends. It's because I didn't have too many distractions at home. Because I had a family that just didn't give a crap about me. It's because, I worked. So on my work lunch breaks or whatever breaks I was doing my schoolwork. I was doing or reading just basic books or learning whatever I could. I mean, I remember at this one place I worked in high school, I was reading the minimum wage thing that they have to put up in the break room or somewhere prominent in the work site. I'd read that on my lunch break. It's why I know half the rules I know about working. What you can and can't get away with. Now, most of this was done in Washington. So, I mean, I don't know much about in Texas or Oregon or whatnot. But I would also assume because these were federal regulations that there's a decent amount of overlap. But I have a quick question. How many of you all are going to be here for the next hour? You want me to keep going? Or you guys want to sign off here? Okay, Jade, you got to go to bed? I'm just kind of curious if people want to keep going. No, I get it. And when it's down for whatever. Because the ad's going to run if I keep going. So I'm going to, take a quick $5, run the ad. If not, I'm going to sign off and say, you have a good night, Jade. Thanks for showing up. So you need to sleep? Not a problem. You have a good night, XO. Green Jeans is HR, apparently. He's being our human relations. Because that's what I read is HR. I don't know what he means by that. Yeah, I was going to say, most of the people are going to go. I'm going to call it. So I just wanted to know if I was going to run the ad and take a quick break or shut it down for the night. Looks like we're shutting it down. I'll bet you guys have a wonderful night. I had a lot of fun talking with y'all. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one.